I like to think weird shit. It keeps me going. I don't know if you can see that. That's an iguana. I like to think, for example, lesser reptiles look up to the bigger reptiles because they're all basically the same damn thing. They have the same structure and body. If they see each other, they must think that they're the same species on some level. So there is an alligator in this lake somewhere that I'm sure all of these iguanas, venerate or worship in some context, because it's like, you can't be serious. You can't live here, not be aware of there being an alligator. I don't care how limited intelligence you are, you're smart or dumb, you're here and you're in a food chain and there's an apex predator. You can't be serious. You can't not respect that. So that was one of the things that I always like to think about. I like to think that a lore Bible, in a sense, is just the meta context that you derive your information from. Whatever context these iguanas derive their information from. Because if I walk towards an iguana, there's an iguana over there. If I walk towards these iguanas, they will dash off. So anything my size, they have an implicit fear of, such that they keep track of it and that they'll run away from it on sight. So that goes along with, oh my God, there's huge splashing over there. The gator could be over there. Don't really know. Hope it doesn't come out of the water at any point. But yeah, in terms of a meta context, in terms of information that they should have access to, they'll just gauge moving things based on the size and, ability to damage them, ability to capture them, ability to do what needs to be done in terms of a food chain. And I feel like every life form is in some way aware of at least that. I mean, what's the point of running away from a thing if you're not preserving your own, ability to live and stuff? And it doesn't matter how they think of it. They may be just watching me. Oh, there's a casual demon ape. They may call me the demon ape or something. That's what I feel like animals and shit refer to humans as the demon apes or the angel apes, whatever the fuck. They're aliens because they're this weird sort of mammal that destroys lots of stuff and puts you in zoos. We abduct animals. We do all the things that aliens, quote unquote, do to us. We do the animals. We just project our own narrative as a meta context to inform our world and say, ooh, what if aliens are out there? They are out there. They're called other humans. They're other shapes and sizes, and they do awful things to each other in their own environment. But yeah. I like to think in terms of that. I like to think harmony would be to respect other, life forms' position in that network. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to venerate them, but you don't have to actively harm them either. I could try to chase down that iguana. He would be able to get into the lake faster than I would be able to get to him. That's why he's still there. There's an iguana over there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if I can zoom in. Can barely see it on camera. It's in the shade of that tree. I'll try to walk over to it, but he'll get to the water before I'll get to him. And his eyes were always trained on me, so that if I got too close, he would be able to get to the water and stuff. And when I get into an effective range of there it is. And when I get to an effective range, that's when he feels like he should be able to react, because I can his territory, or the context of his life. It's really windy. I don't know how much of this is being actually recorded, but yeah, basically, make a lore Bible and figure out your role in it. I like to think of myself as, at least equal to Leviathan. I like to think of Leviathan. If you look in the Bible, there's literally just one reference to Leviathan, but in the meta context, in the larger context of a lore Bible, Leviathan was a Jewish creature and it had actual attributes. It's and in many contexts, it's probably just a crocodile, but it's a divine sort of creation. It's in a trinity with the behemoth and a zig, which is some sort of phoenix-like creature, and that's what the Pokemon is based off of. At least Ruby and Sapphire. Kyogre is the Leviathan. But I like to see of myself as at the very least, as equivalent to Leviathan. Maybe I'm a behemoth. Maybe I'm a zig. I personally call myself the Demon Ape because I like Giratina. But that's my lore Bible. So, make a lore Bible.